Hey guys, Cornucopian Kennels here. I'm Keith. Just here to talk to you today a little bit about kennels. So when you're working with kennels, some of the pros and cons. Some of the cons of working with your kennels is that if you have a dog with major separation anxiety, this is definitely going to be a bigger project for you. Separation anxiety or anxiety in a whole can cause issues with the dog wanting to go in, cause issues with them wanting to be alone inside of the kennel, cause issues with vocalization, things like that. Those are all things that are going to have to be overcome eventually. Also, as a con, you will also have to understand that once you begin your crate training, you will have to follow through. The moment you do not follow through, your emotions allow for the animal to get away with anything that they want. You've ruined everything and you're just not going to get anywhere by doing that. You have to have follow through once you start this project. Another con is finding room for a kennel. If you have a larger dog, it can obviously be a bigger problem because of the size of your kennel. Also, where that kennel is going to be placed. It needs to be in a place where either there is little foot traffic if the dog is highly aroused by sound or sights, or vice versa if the dog is very anxious whenever there's nobody around. It might be more beneficial to have the dog in the room with you whenever you are doing your crate training, just so that way they can see you, they're comfortable, they're laying down a little bit more at peace. It'll be a little bit easier for them to be comfortable in their kennel, so that way you can work on your release commands and their break times, getting them on a set schedule so they understand when they're allowed to come out and when they're supposed to go in. Some of the pros for using one of these crates is that you will have a safe place for your animal to be able to go whenever there is too much arousal for them. It's also a great place if you have a high energy, extremely rambunctious animal where you can put them away to calm down, kind of a timeout zone. Also, it's a great place for you to begin your new relationship with an animal that you just brought home from a kennel or a shelter. It's a great way for you to get to know them to get to know you with a controlled environment until you fully know them. Remember that anytime you bring a dog home from a shelter, you don't know that dog. They don't know you. They need to learn the rules of the house. They need to learn how you expect those rules to be followed through with. You need to understand what they will try to get away with and what they already know. So, having a kennel in place makes a great way to learn these things about all of it, and just a slow introduction to the whole procedure. It lets the dog understand that you have a schedule as well. What time you go to work, what time you get home, what time they can go pee, what time they can go play, what time they need to go to bed, all those kinds of different things. So those are your pros and cons for working with a crate. Um, Tips and tricks to using a crate. You also need to remember that you're going to need a good treat, some sort of reward that's going to let that dog know that what they've done is okay. Lots of patience and time. If you can devote 2 or 3 days just to your introductions to kennels, it's going to help you out in the long run. The more comfortable the dog is with the kennel, the better off you're going to be, and the faster this process is going to be. Um, so it's very important that your dog is very comfortable with all of it. Um, Also, something I've learned is having a crate, toy, or treat. So for us, it's a Kong filled with their kibble or peanut butter smeared in it. You can fill the Kong with their toy, take peanut butter, cap it off. We also have a video on YouTube about that. Something like that you can throw in the kennel with the dog gives them hours of enjoyment. It also gives them a reason to want to be in that kennel, because once they're out of that kennel, that toy gets put away. It is mandatory that if they are not in that kennel, that toy does not go with them. They're not allowed to play with it when they're not in the kennel. Once they're out of the kennel, it gets put up. So remember that. It's very important. So that way they have that to look forward to, especially if it's a high reward treat, something like that. You'd even do something smeared in bacon grease. If that's what you need to do to make that dog excited at the idea of going into their crate, it's going to set you up for the utmost possible rewards that you can get out of doing crate training. So with that said, that's the basics on what you're going to need for crate training. Now about your crate. In order to choose your crate, You need to pick something that is going to be tall enough that your dog can stand up in, comfortable enough that they can lay down in, and wide enough that they can turn around. That's the rule of thumb when you're picking out a crate. That's how you'll know what size to get. You can measure them from their paws to the tops of their ears, get that idea of how tall you're going to get. Once you get that height, they're pretty much kind of a set deal that once you get a certain height, it's going to be a certain width. All that kind of stuff just kind of falls in line with it. Once you get that figured out, you'll have the right idea for what you need for your crate. You may need something extra large. You may need something a little bit smaller. It all depends on your dog. That's how you'll know what to do from there. All right, guys, so introduction to the crate. So we're going to cheat a little bit. The dog we're using today has already been crate trained. He's very happy in a crate. He loves the idea of his crate. He actually gets excited at the end of the night for the idea of his crate. He gets irritated if he doesn't get his peanut butter as soon as he's supposed to. So we're going to be cheating just a little bit, but this is just to give you an idea of what it's like to work on crate training. We'll get you another video later on that's actually going to show you a dog that's never been in a crate before. We'll work from there, but this is just for today's video. So what you're going to start with is a high value reward treat, something like this. Now, a lot of dogs are going to become uncomfortable with the crate in the beginning. It's important for them to be comfortable. So something you can do is kind of close the gate, let them come up, sniff it, reward them, sniff it, reward them. Do that a couple times till they're not really checking it out as much as purposely trying to get a reward. That's what you want. That's what you want, is them to be more interested in the reward than the treat. Once you get that, you can start laying out a line of treats until you can get it up to the entryway and the dog is comfortable going in there. Once you get that, then you're going to actually take your treats, put them inside the crate. Popo, kennel. Treat goes in, dog follows. You don't want to close the gate in the beginning. You want them to come back out. You want them to feel like it's okay for them to just move forward, move in and out. Kim. Yes. Remember to use your reward markers as well as any correction markers and terminal markers as needed. So whenever he gets all four paws in there, I say yes. He's already got the idea that we're working on a crate training. So now he's like, all right, I'm in my crate. Give me what I want. Good boy. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I expect from him. Now, this is kind of more advanced. Like I said, he's already comfortable in a crate, but this is where you want to get to. Once you get to this point where they realize that they get their food while they're in their crate, then you want to start working on your terminal marker. Break. Yes, good boy. So you want to get to that point where you can actually keep them inside without having to do a whole bunch of work, and then giving them a terminal marker to get them out. Kennel. Yes. So to get them there, what you're going to do is you're going to start closing the gate. Once you've gotten them comfortable with going in and out, entryway is no longer a problem. Now you're going to hold them inside, and then yes, give them a treat, door gets closed. So this can be a lot for a dog. Whenever you have to close this kennel gate, they're trying to get out. Obviously, if they're scratching, squealing, that kind of stuff. So what you can do is you can start treating from the backside of the crate. So most crates will have some sort of airway in the backside. There you go. And then get them to start picking up the treats from your hand, from the back. It can definitely help with getting them more comfortable within the kennel. Also gets them away from the idea of the gate and just getting what they want from the backside of it. So with that said, we've worked on getting them comfortable with the kennel on the outside. We've worked on getting them comfortable with entryway, going in and out. We've gotten them comfortable with just being inside the kennel. Once we've gotten that achieved, now we can start working on a proper exit. So what you want to do is open it up a little bit, and if the dog comes rushing forward, you want to close it real quick. Keeping them inside, the whole point is to pressure them to stay inside. Open it up a little bit, give it a second, close it. The idea is that you're breaking down their anxiety, so that way they're just kind of eventually, hopefully, going to give you a little huff, maybe even sit down, and they're going to be like, all right, now when am I going to get out of here? Just open it up. When they're at that point and they're comfortable, like this guy's already sitting down in there, now I can actually open it up. Break. Use my terminal marker, let him out. Now, remember to keep your training sessions really small. That's a lot of anxiety for a dog to have to go into this. Good boy. Kennel. Yes. So like I said, this guy's already pretty well trained. He's got a good idea of what it is that he's supposed to be doing. But that is the general basics of how you get through it. The longer that you can keep him in there, the better it is for him, the more comfortable he is about it. Now, the next trick, now that we've gotten your dog comfortable with a crate, the next trick is to actually be able to step away. So with the dog, obviously they're going to be looking at you. While they're looking at you, kind of start taking a couple steps away. Now, the idea is to be able to step away from him and then step back in. Yes. Rewarding him. Now, what we're doing here is we're breaking up the idea of us leaving and them having to stay in the kennel with us not in the room. We're going to do it in slow increments, just a couple steps, step back in. They're going to watch you walk away, but not go too far. And then a little bit farther, and then come back. The more we come back, the more we break down the idea that we aren't going to be coming back or that they're going to be stuck in this kennel. Again, keep your training sessions really low. So after a little bit of time, it should be about the first day of maybe 5 different training sessions, you should be able to get your dog comfortable with just being inside. On the next day, then you want to start working on walking away from the kennel. You want to be able to get away from the kennel, step away. Yes. And that. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you can get out the door and the dog will be quiet. There's going to be times when your dog is going to vocalize, things like that. If you have those kind of problems, get a hold of us at cornucopiankennels.com. We can give you advice and tips and tricks to work through that. This guy is not going to do it. Like I said, he's pretty comfortable in a kennel. He don't mind it at all. So once you've gotten to a point where you can step away, next trick is to step outside the door with your dog in the kennel and leave him there. Now you're going to do the exact same thing in increments where you're going to walk out the door, give it maybe a 10 count, come back in, reward your dog. Step out the door, give it a 30 count, step back in, give your dog a reward. Do not give your dog a reward if they're vocalizing. You're going to be rewarding that kind of behavior. We don't want that kind of behavior. If the dog is going to be flipping out, freaking out, stuff like that, like I said, get a hold of us at Cornucopia and Kennels. We'll give you the advice and tips and tricks to work through that. But the most important thing is you do not give them treats while they're acting like that. You will be reinforcing that behavior. So assuming that you can get farther and farther along with this, once you can get to about 10, 20 minutes away from your dog and they're perfectly fine in their kennel, remembering to break them every now and then, just that way they're not just cooped up in the kennel for that whole time, and breaking up your training sessions, 5, 10 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, and then bring them back in, start over again. Once you can get to that point where you're at about 20, 30 minutes, then you want to start adding in stressors. You need to start adding in things like doorbells, car horns, vehicles passing by, the sound of your vehicle driving away and pulling back in, those kinds of things. Those are where the dog's stress levels are going to be at their highest and where they're going to have the most issues. Those are the moments where you need to reward them for being good and doing well in their kennel. If you need to, you can video your dog while they're in the kennel so you have an idea of what they're doing while you're away. How you want to do that is up to you. There's lots of different possibilities. If you live with a roommate or spouse that has a phone, somebody's phone could be inside. You can do a video chat call with that phone, with your phone outside so you can see. Amazon has really cheap cameras. We bought one for 20, 25 bucks, something like that. Great little camera, even makes it to where we can talk through it so that way we can correct our dogs in the kennels before we even have to actually step towards the door. So there's lots of different possibilities. Whatever you need to do to get that done, it may be very, very helpful for you to see what your dog is doing while you're away. It is very helpful to be able to correct them from a distance as well. So with those things in mind, you want to start adding in those stressors, see how your dog reacts, make sure they're doing well, You want to purposely set them up to see what they're going to do, because you need to know what those things are going what your dog is going to do when those things happen. Any of those things can happen, they will happen, and when they do, you're probably not going to be there. So the more you can set up to find out on your own, the more you'll be prepared to help your dog through. Once you have those kind of things in place and your dog is in there for 30 to 40 minutes, you tried all the stressors, dog's doing great, now you can release them, then you're on a golden page with your dog as far as crate training. Use that crate as much as you need to. Don't overuse it more than you need to either. Those are the general gist of how you begin basic kennel training. So again, guys, if you guys have any questions, get a hold of us at cornucopiankennels.com for more information, and have fun with your dogs. Break. Good boy.